Welcome back to the Honest Art Podcast. I'm Jody King, and a lot of you know me as a professional artist. I've been doing this for 21 years, but I thought this would be a great episode to talk about the defining things that took me from literally years and years and years and years and years of trying to figure out this whole art thing. But this episode is going to be like, what was the turning point? What was the thing that really made the biggest difference? So if you are ready to jump into that topic, then let's get messy. Okay, so let's get into it. The year was 2015, I believe. And my daughter was the youngest of the five, and she was about to be going to college, and I saw the writing on the wall. And I had primarily been devoting myself to raising kids and everything that entailed, right? And I knew that in a very short time, in about a year and a half, it was going to be a much quieter home, and I was going to have a lot more time to pursue my passion of really making this art thing a thing. I'd already been selling my work. I'd been selling my work in gift stores and pretty consistently. And then I had been selling my work at a really, really great high-end furnishing store. And I was, selling, 6 paintings a year or something. Basically anything I would paint, they were selling it. And so it was a really great gig. But I was like, wait, I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands. And this is my time. I want to really make a go of this. But there were 2 things that I knew. And number one, I knew my art was good, right? But I didn't think it was great. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, we are painting and we're painting. And we're like, I like that. Oh my gosh. And every now and then there's a painting that we really, really love. We like it. And then there's one that we love. And so we get this confidence, right? But I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. And I knew that when my daughter left for college, I wanted to be making fine art. I really, really wanted to up-level my art. So I wanted to be making fine art. And also I wanted to do other things. Like, yes, I had been in gift stores. Yes, I had been in a home furnishing store. But, I wanted the gallery representation. I wanted my art out there. I wanted it to be selling for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, right? I wanted all of that. And I also knew I wasn't getting any younger. So it's like, I didn't want to do this and be doing in 10 years, still be trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. So I decided that I needed to get a mentor. I needed to get some support. I needed to get some help. And somebody had recommended a mentor. I had actually been following her for a little while, so she wasn't a complete stranger or anything. And I knew she had had a lot of success. So I reached out to her. She said, yes, I do mentoring. And she said something like it was going to be like, I don't know, $3,000, $5,000. I just remember it was thousands and thousands of dollars that I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm not even selling my paintings for that much. So I can't do that. And by the way, if you're about to jump off of this right now because you think, oh, she's just going to be about selling, mentoring, I'm not. I'm going to stay with me here, right? Because mentorship looks very different for different people. Anyway, after mulling it over, talking to my husband at the time, I decided that I was going to go ahead and do it, that I didn't have the time to waste, that my hope was if I had a mentor, I could get to where I was going much, much faster than what I had been doing. So, there's a saying, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, that's just kind of the definition of crazy. So I knew I couldn't continue to do the same thing over and over again and to hope to have a huge result. So yes, I bit the bullet. And I got the mentor, I got the mentorship, and I can tell you unequivocally that it was that mentorship that changed the game for me. It wasn't just that she helped me with my painting, which was huge. It was that she helped me see things that I couldn't see. So like I went into it thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know how to ship, or I don't know how to, whatever it might be. Like that's what I thought I was getting. And what I got was something so different. Right? We don't even know what we don't know. So as an example, like when I first started painting, there was no, there was barely an internet, but there certainly was no YouTube, right? There's nothing to go to Google, how do you paint an abstract painting? Now you can do that like crazy. And there's lots and lots of YouTubes about that. But what I'm talking about is, without having the experience like that I know after 21 years, is that you don't know the questions to ask, right? You don't know what you don't know. As an example of this, imagine you're an artist who wants to start creating prints, right? You feel like that's going to be a really great avenue for you to be able to start selling prints of your work. So you're like, oh, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just go to YouTube, or I'll go to ChatGPT, and I'll type in, how to sell prints, right? Well, what you don't know to ask is that there are so many different ways to do prints. There are, you could do prints that are in a limited edition. You could do prints that are in unlimited edition. You could do prints that are going to be with archival ink and archival paper. You can do prints that are not that at all. Do you want to do frames? Do you not want to do frames? What is the glare level like? What is the paper stock going to be? There is so much information about prints. And here's the other thing that you may or may not know. There is no standard way of pricing prints, right? And so that's just an example of when you are in a community or when you are working with a mentor, these sorts of questions get answered before you spend thousands of dollars on prints that are, or even hundreds, whatever it might be, but it's going to cost money, right? Before you lose money on prints and they're stacking up in your garage and you're like, why did I do that? Right? If you don't know the questions yet to ask and you don't know what you don't know, then something like having a mentorship community or a mentor is going to make all of the difference in the world. And here's the other thing. And you may have heard me say this before, but I went on a deep dive in this in August of 24. You ever just get a bee in your bonnet? That's a Southern term, I think. But you just get this thing that you can't stop thinking about. And one of the things for me was I wanted to know historically, what was the one thing that made the biggest difference? What was the common denominator between the artists historically that were successful and the artists that weren't? And I'm talking about from the Renaissance period. I'm talking about abstract expressionism. I'm talking about any period. And it wasn't the style of the art. It wasn't whether the artist had money, was born into money or not. It wasn't the supplies. What was it? And what I found through my research is the common denominator between all of these artists was they all had community. They were all part of a community. So when we talk about mentorship, right, and being able to not make the mistakes, that we could avoid, having a community of people going, oh, you're thinking about doing prints? Oh, here's what I learned. Do you know what, if you use companies like X, Y, and Z, then you have a very, very minimal amount of money that you want to spend. And here's the different papers. This is the stock that you like to use. This is the ink that's best, that sort of thing, right? All of this happens because of a community. That is mentorship. I think we can all get around. Now, one more thing I want to say about community and not knowing what we don't know. I truly believe that the biggest growth that I experienced through the mentorships that I paid for, like I talked about, like, by the way, the first one was like I can't remember, it's 3,000 or 5,000. It all felt big and scary. But what I learned from both experiences was the growth that I was expecting was, tell me how to apply to galleries, tell me how to ship, tell me how to sell on social media, like the business skills. That's what I really thought that I was paying for. But what I got the most out of was the internal work that I did. That was the catalyst that changed everything. And without those women asking me important questions like, you say you want to have a career as an artist, but you actually aren't doing the steps to do that. What's stopping you? What is your fear really about? Let's look at that fear. Let's unpack that. Also, I never knew anything about why. I never knew how important the why was. So it's the internal work that I was doing through these mentorships that led me to the success that I have now, because it's the internal work when you're like, you know what? I can do this. So when I am telling you guys that mentorship and community is key and critical to us and to our success as artists, I know the life-changing experience that has been, and I want that for you too. I do have a membership called the Rebel Artist Society. And within the Rebel Artist Society, you receive, monthly coaching, and you get training on how to be a better artist, how to create fine art. You get access to the community of people. So whatever question you might have, there's people there to support you. I'm there to support you, and I'm there to guide you as well through the Rebel Artist Society. There's also fun things like we do a monthly happy hour. We can paint together, within our studios and just hang out. We also, any question you have that might come up, there's behind the scenes silliness for my life that we put in there as well. All kinds of fun things in Rebel Artist Society. But I also priced it at a price point that's going to be really accessible to really all the artists that I know. And it's a way for you to receive all of this mentorship that maybe you've been craving, but you didn't want to waste the 10 years, or not waste, but you didn't want to take the 10 years to do it. So I would love to see you in Rebel Artist Society. But you know what? Maybe that's not your jam. Maybe you want to get mentorship from somebody else. Do that. But receive mentorship. When we pay attention, right? So that's why I brought that up about what I have paid. Like the more you pay, the more access you do get to people, obviously. But again, I created Rebel Artist Society so it's accessible for everybody. Okay, and that's really, really important to me, to be able to reach artists globally, right? Okay. Until next time, you guys, keep painting, keep being the brilliant artist that you are. And we'll see you next time. Take good care. Peace out.